Good evening, Smack Nation, and welcome to our first Smack Production show of the year. The title of our show is simply Women in STEM, but there's nothing simple about what it takes to become a woman in STEM. Hidden no more, many women of color have made groundbreaking discoveries in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. These women are experts in their fields and contribute to the success of their organization and institutions. They are educated professionals who defied constraints, rising to the top of their organizations and accomplishing great things. While many women have made great contributions to various through 12 education, share the same ability to excel in STEM classes. However, according to the same study, female students demonstrate less confidence in these subjects. If female students are not encouraged to study STEM or even discouraged throughout their K through 12 education, they may continue to lack that confidence in those subjects and choose a different major in college. That's why we got to get them when they're young, ladies and gentlemen. The National Center for Education Statistics reports that in 2015, the percentage of Black women attending higher education institutions who earned a STEM degree was 2.9%. Because women, and particularly women of color, have been historically underrepresented in STEM majors at universities as well as in STEM careers, many women in their field struggle against the perception of working in a biased environment. According to the Scientific American, 45% of women in STEM leave their jobs because they feel underpaid and underrepresented. Because of this attrition, few women rise to the top position as role models for other women. However, women who can earn STEM degrees are more than capable of working in STEM leadership positions and advancing in their careers. Tonight, we have five women, well, six if you include me, who defied all obstacles and have succeeded in STEM. They are executives, entrepreneurs, mentors, and advocates for women in STEM. These women have taken it upon themselves to reach back and bring other Black women forward in STEM. Tonight, we have the pleasure to hear their stories. Hopefully, their journey will inspire other Black women to choose STEM and equalize the playing field for Black women in STEM fields. So, without further ado, let's meet these wonderful women. Mrs. Shatrice Gillian holds a Bachelor of Arts in Engineering Psychology, Bachelor of Arts in Africana Studies from Wayne State University, and is currently completing a dual program earning a Master's of Arts in Economic Development and a PhD in Sociology from Wayne State University. Ms. Gillian is a recipient of the Wayne State University Africana Studies Department Tinsley Memorial Scholarship and was selected to participate in Brazil Study Abroad program, where she developed a global learning community that engages urban youth from Detroit, Michigan, and Salvador, Brazil, in discussions, planning, and implementation of service learning projects that address issues surrounding community revitalization. Ms. Gillian currently is the Chief Executive Officer of Making It Happen Foundation, a Michigan-based non-for-profit 501c3 organization with the mission to create directed pathways for underserved youth in the communities by eliminating barriers and centralizing resources. Over the past 22 years, Making It Happen Foundation has developed and implemented award-winning programs to benefit Michigan's youth and its year-long program entitled Heroes, helping everyone reach opportunities and elevated sustainability. Technology program, strategically aligned partnership with Michigan State University's Hub for Innovation, Berklee College of Music, along with Coursera and New Paradigm for Education Early College of Excellence. Mrs. Gillian serves as the Special Project Launch Manager for the City of Detroit's Department of Health and Wellness Promotion, Bureau of Substance Preventative Treatment and Recovery. She was responsible for the research and development of strategic plans for implementation and delivery of prevention services. Ms. Gillian also was appointed to the Mayor of Detroit's Lean team as the Lean Six Sigma specialist with the task of maximizing efficiencies and eliminating waste across departments. Welcome, Shatrice, to our show.
Hey, hi, everybody. It is certainly a pleasure. Thank you for having me, especially among this beautiful, esteemed Black excellence in terms of panel. Hey, Sora over there, Lisa. But just thank you. Honored.
All right, welcome. Okay, next up we have, as a Senior Director of Health Equity at Exact Sciences, Dion Moffett Corbin and her team focus on getting more underserved communities screened for colon cancer. She has extensive background in corporate social responsibility, marketing, customer experience, and community development. Prior to joining Exact Sciences, Dion served as the Executive Director of Analytics and Insights at DWA Healthcare Communications Group. Her career also includes time at Juno Therapeutics and 15 years with Eli Lilly, where she began her work in health equity. Dion has a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from Michigan State University and an MBA from Northwestern University. She has significant experience in public-private partnerships, beginning with her days at AmeriCorps. Currently living in Indianapolis, Dion is from Michigan and a die-hard Spartan fan. Woo woo, go green! She enjoys working with young people, helping them identify possible career paths after high school. Dion also likes listening to music and spending time with her family. She loves traveling and looks forward to hitting the road again after the pandemic. Let's welcome Dion to our show.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Michelle, thank you for this opportunity. Looking forward to having this conversation with all these wonderful sisters on this panel. So excited.
Awesome. Next up, we have Tynice McDaniel, who works for the United States Patent and Trademark Office, where she has served for over 7 years examining, researching, prosecuting, and issuing patent applications. Prior to her service at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Tynice worked for 17 years as a product development engineer, developing electronic circuits and systems for a major original equipment manufacturers in the telecommunications industry. Tynice's volunteer experience includes STEM awareness in high school youth, along with community outreach and awareness activities in the areas of patents and trademark. In her spare time, Tynice enjoys traveling, dancing, skiing, finance, investing. This girl is busy. I'm telling you, I see her all the time doing a lot. And I've traveled with her, so I know. Gardening, spending time with family and friends, and helping others. Tynice earned her Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Welcome, Tynice, to the show.
Hey, hello everyone. Thank you, Michelle, for the wonderful introduction. Yes, I look forward to talking with the rest of the women on this panel and sharing my experience as a woman in STEM.
Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. As the founder and CEO for Her Cosmetics, Alyssa Space is building a cosmetics empire that not only diversifies the beauty industry, but inspires the next generation of chemists and entrepreneurs. What started in the kitchen of her mother's home has blossomed into a 350 square foot lab in the heart of Detroit, also known as MySpace Laboratories. This is where Beauty Trailblaze formulates all natural lip gloss, lipstick, body shimmers. I love this. Okay, eyeshadows, highlighter with vegan and cruelty-free ingredients. My girl. Space says, I believe that beauty has more than one standard, and that we as women all embody this vast meaning of what beauty is. Her company's mission is to promote positive affirmations among women while empowering all. I think beauty, this is what she's saying. I think beauty products that allow for expression bring women together in a unique way. Whether a beginner or expert, we all want to feel and look beautiful. At a young age, Space realized that she wanted to build a beauty business but didn't know where to start. It wasn't until she graduated from Michigan State University with a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry that she found her true calling to disrupt the beauty industry in more ways than one. This is where she unearthed the mission for her cosmetics, which not only empowers women of all shades and backgrounds, but offers cleaner and safer beauty products that don't compromise your health. She reminds the world that beauty is not only skin deep, but it's within. Beauty is universal. Beauty is her. Welcome, Elisa, to our show. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And last but certainly not least, we have Lori Wesby. She leads the executive and peer mentoring program with the Great Lakes Women's Business Council, following a 20-plus year of a wonderful corporate career. The Great Lakes Women's Business Council supports women entrepreneurs in every field throughout training and development, certification, and access to capital and consultation. She graduated from Michigan State University's College of Engineering with her Bachelor of Science degree in mechanical engineering. Her professional career began as a quality engineer at General Motors in Flint, Michigan. She soon after joined the Ford Motor Company, where she would spend the balance of her corporate career. She started out in Vehicle Environmental Engineering Division and held multiple assignments in certification testing, surveillance, compliance, and a stint in product development. After completing her MBA at the University of Detroit Mercy, she moved into the Global Purchasing Division at Ford, where she continued to expand her business acumen as a production buyer in change management, emerging market sourcing, and program management. Her love for mentoring new hires and interns throughout a partnership with the Detroit Public School Community District made the work she does now a natural fit. Helping business owners with technical assistance and connecting them to resources to help them grow and scale is a joy. In her spare time, she loves to bake, sing, read, spending precious time with family and friends, and creating wonderful experiences. Thank you, Lori. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Michelle. Glad to be here and glad to meet all of these amazing ladies.
As you can see, Smack Nation, we've got a power panel here. So we're going to go right into it because I don't want to waste another minute because we got to hear from these wonderful women. Okay, this is the first question I'm going to ask, and this one is open to anyone to answer. All of you attended prestigious universities and colleges. Can you share what it was like as a woman of color attending a PWI, that's a predominantly white institution, and getting a degree in STEM?
Sure.
I can. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I can go first, I guess. My experience at University of Illinois was good for a couple reasons. It was a large institution, about 40,000 students, close to a major city, close to Chicago. Also, it was close to home. So those two things had advantages for me because I came from a upbringing where it's predominantly Black students, Black youth, Black community, 100% of the time, everywhere where I went to this university, where now, there are some Black people, and then there's a whole lot of everyone else. So it was good that it was close to home because, whenever I felt, homesick, I could go. It was only 2 hours away. And then it was also good that it was close to a major city like Chicago because a lot of Black students, a lot of minority students attended that I could relate to. So when I got there, I instantly recognized that I was unique. I went from, all black school, all black neighborhood to predominantly white, especially attending STEM courses and engineering courses. So I instantly recognized that. However, there were a good large enrollment, I would say relatively large enrollment of Black students in the university, a smaller number of Black students in the engineering program that I could quickly identify and go to, relate to them, and go to them for support. So my parents, God bless them, did not, as a youth, did not instill in me or let me know or teach me that because I was a Black woman in STEM, that I would be at a disadvantage or I would have challenges being a Black woman in STEM. So I went into this university kind of, innocent. So I went in not feeling, not thinking, never ever thinking or believing that I was not capable of performing just as well as my peers in school. So that was good. I was confident enough in my ability to know that I could do the work, I could do it well, and I was good. And then also I was able to identify quickly those that had the same thing in common: STEM women, STEM Black, STEM students that I could go to. And we developed a good support system. I'm very good friends with most of them right now, and we depended on each other as well. So that was my experience. We didn't have like some of the HBCU experience that I see from other students, like the bands and the emphasis on Black history education. University didn't really require that or emphasize that. And so those are the things that I wish that I would have had. But overall, my experience going to UIUC was pretty good. So I'll let someone else talk about it.
I'd like to add to that from a Michigan State perspective. I would say it was a privilege and being able to go into mechanical engineering at a PWI because the opportunities ahead of you were endless. So it felt very much like you were in this group of inspiring, aspiring people, but also overwhelming at times because with that, in the late 80s, early 90s, you could be one of one woman, African American in a class, or you could be one of five, depending on what class you were in. But then it was a balancing act because you would go in those classrooms and be one of a few or one of one, and then you would come out and you'd have your community. We had a community that we called our family at Michigan State. And so we could, cry together, scream together, study together, just be together in a common space so that it was balancing to those times where you felt isolated and overwhelmed. And then being able to come together with Lori's of the world, Michelle's of the world, and then also go to events with the National Society of Black Engineers. So it was great. And just, overarching, just a wonderful platform to launch from. And I will let someone else talk. So
I'll chime in here. So I agree with everything that's already been said. For me, I came from a diverse high school, so I wasn't as much in the culture shock of a lot of things as some of my other brothers and sisters from Detroit were, because Detroit is a mecca, and sometimes when they got to Michigan State, some of them have said, this is the first time I've had so many people who don't look like me in a classroom, or a professor in front of me who does not look like me. So it could be overwhelming for a lot of people. I think one of the things that Michigan State did a very good job of is if you were a minority student who declared a College of Engineering as a major, you were put into kind of an orientation class, if you will. We called it Engineering 290, and led by an amazing, brother, Dr. Gerald Tompkins. And he made sure that we were on point, that we were able to flow in our classes, you know, get your studies together, get your study tables together. You know, we have tutors for you. We have, you know, people who we kind of assign you. We're not going to let you fail. And basically, he assured that to our parents, and he assured that to us. If you do your part, we'll do our part. And so NSBE, you know, really started to grow out of that class, out of that orientation class for us. And we, to this day, and I'm talking 30 years later, are still very tight knit family. As Dion said, we have, you know, stayed connected and been able to really just kind of bounce things off each other, I think, throughout our careers, and that has made a huge difference.
Absolutely.
I didn't know. Can we still add on to that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
Like Lori, actually came from a predominantly white high school. I went to Catholic school in Bloomfield Hills, so the transition wasn't really much of a culture shock for me. It was more so just finding like my tribe and understanding that resources are not going to just be made readily available to me. I have to actually go out and find these resources. So I made it a point when I was in college to like, although my roommates were not in the same major as me, I was like, okay, where's the math help room? Where's the extra science, physics help room? Because when I was in high school, although it was a preparatory high school, I still didn't feel completely prepared. So I needed to go out and get those extracurriculars, those extra office hours, because 9 times out of 10, your professor isn't reaching out to you unless it's the end of the semester and there's no way to save your grade. So, and I just graduated from college 6 years ago, so it's still very much fresh to me.
Your baby.
That's good.
I love it.
Yeah. And I noticed that you have your degree in chemistry, and I was like, that was out of all the classes that I had to take at Michigan State. First of all, it probably wasn't like this for you, or hopefully it wasn't like this for you, because you're, you know, more of the more current generation. But we had chemistry on audio tapes. I don't know if y'all remember that, Lori.
Yeah.
I had the audacity to take what was called CBI chemistry. What would I do that? That's like competency-based instruction, right? You're teaching yourself.
Right.
No, that's like, no, did not work for me. So like, I need somebody in front of me.
So anytime I see chemistry, anything, I'm like, you know, bowing down to it, because I was like, this is tough.
Yeah.
Especially listening to an audio tape and have to learn that way, and then go in, and only time you go in is to take a test. I was like, man, this is crazy.
It was.
But hey, we survived. We made it.
And she started her own business afterwards, so I'm impressed.
I am
finishing in chemistry and then going right into the entrepreneurial world is fabulous. So
yes, thank you.
And I think that's more encouraged now, you know, than it was when we were going through. It was like, you graduate, you get a job. A lot of times it was like, if you're engineering, you're in Michigan, the big three is always there. You know, the Chrysler, Ford, and GM. And I actually didn't want to do that. I was like, I want to go to Chicago. And that's how I ended up at, you know, Motorola. But I mean, I probably could have just as well ended up at the big three, because that was the thing to do, right? I mean, everybody was booming, and, you know, we was, you know, going on all cylinders. And engineering was like the number one major that was, you know, highly, I remember going into the career development placement service and seeing on the list of like careers and how much money they make. And I was like, okay, engineering was up there. So I was like, okay, I think I'm in the right place here. So I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna go to Shatrice. I kind of have a pointed question to you. So you established this program called Heroes, and that again means helping everyone reach opportunities and elevated sustainability. Can you explain to us a little bit more about that program and how it has helped the youth in the Detroit area?
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, thank you for this opportunity to actually talk about it. So we started this program basically as a industry-led training program in partnership with the city of Detroit through their Grow Detroit Young Talent Program. And we work with the Detroit Employment Solutions Corporation as a provider. And so our main objective as a provider was basically to create a learning experience that also would render a certification that's recognized by the state as a industry-led certification. So through our partnerships with Michigan State Hub and Berkeley College of Music and Coursera, we were able to create a scholarship program and a certification pathway through a blended learning model with other industry experts who would do face-to-face learning combined with these online partnerships. We're the first in the nation to ever do it with high school students. And so what we decided is to use the actual currency of our young people from ages 14 to 24. And the currency happens to be right now music, media, film, production, technology. And so that happened to be the right choice. We used a lot of evidence-based practices, and it just ended up blowing up, really. I mean, because first of all, we had kids that were ready to learn. They got paid to be in the program, right? And then they developed products, music, films, videos, all sorts of content that they're getting royalties from now, that they're able to make money. And so this partnership with universities and then industry experts from the industry has been wonderful. And, it's been interesting how we use STEM and we use all of the backbone of technology to actually make music and to actually make films and things like that. So that's what we focus on. It just so happens that our youth are talented as well and able to create content that's usable, but they're coding. They're using Pythagorean theorems. Y'all know about that, right? You know what I'm saying? Object orientation, what comes from Diffie-Q. Y'all remember that, right? And so they just don't know that they're using that most times, and that's not what we lead with. We lead with the industry training. You want to become a producer. You want to learn how to actually be the person in demand that makes the artist a hot person, and so it's working. We've had 100% completion rate. Some of these certifications have translated into credits for our college students. Our students this time, we started using this model in 2017. So now we have students who have matured and they've gone through college and finished college early because they were a part of this program. So it's been a wonderful experience.
That's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you. So, check us out on makithappenfoundation.org. Heroes Tech, click that tab. You'll be able to see some of the courses. You also can find some of our music if you go on YouTube. We did a project. We partnered with the NBA, and we opened up for NBA All-Star Weekend 2020 with a song called "See Us." And what we did is it was our first time having to do music production virtually. So that's when their skills had to really bubble up. And so this whole project, go to YouTube, type in "See Us." Amazing project, features the Detroit Youth Choir, which everybody knows.
I was just going to ask you, are you doing anything with DYC?
We did that with them, and it was absolutely amazing. We also featured Anisha Bruchette, who's a Grammy Award-winning songwriter for Beyonce and all of these hot people that most people know about. So that's the opportunity that Heroes has created, and it's been a wonderful experience.
That's wonderful. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And again, what's that website? Just one more time so people can hear it.
www.makingithappenfoundation.org.
All right. So you folks out there in the Metro Detroit area who have youth that want to perhaps become a filmmaker, producer, director, a musician, producer, what have you, look them up, because and then I like the fact that there in some cases they get college credits for this, because that kind of sets them up already, and you heard they're doing something with Michigan State University and, so forth, and Wayne State. And so having already that connection, because one of the things that I did not know is that it's about connections, networking, just as much as your academics. So if you can have some of those things under your belt before you even walk in the door, you've got kind of a leg up. And we need all the help we can get as minorities, and especially as women, when it comes to, making inroads in these types of fields. Very good. So The next question is going to be open to everyone. So we're all STEM women. We know this comes with wonderful opportunities, but at the same time, and look, we're successful. All of us are successful. So we show the good news story here, but we all know that we have challenges. Anyone care to share some of the challenges, the greatest, I guess you could say, challenge you have as being a woman in this environment, in the STEM kind of discipline?
Okay, I'll
Well,
start.
oh,
I'll start. And I'm not directly in STEM today, but early on in my career, definitely felt, um, that only syndrome that I think Dion mentioned before, the only woman, only African American in some meeting spaces. And I can remember just blatant disrespect. Um, you know, flat out. I had an Obama moment. Remember when he was giving his State of the Union address and someone hollered out, "You're lying." I mean, I had a moment like that in one of my sessions, one of my report outs, where someone older, white gentleman. Well, gentleman is loose, but I'm in the middle of giving a report, and everybody was giving their updates around this conference room. And in the middle of mine, he's like, "Oh, that's not right."
Oh,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um but he had to humble himself because it was right. And so from then on, sorry, petty me sometimes will come at you every chance I get now. I see you're the one I gotta, okay, I got you. So, eventually and he became a non-factor. But to deal with something like that, you're young, you're right out of college or something, and you're in an environment where you really want to put your best foot forward, you want to be professional at all times, you know what to do, right? And then you're met with some kind of ignorance like that. It's like, okay, remember who you are, first of all, and know that you know what you know. And I knew that the the training I had at Michigan State prepared me to walk into any room that where I was sent. So the confidence, again, from having that upbringing, from having that experience, definitely came into play. And so, but you deal with things like that. That's a one off, right? But you have to have the little something extra that says, I know who I am. I know most importantly whose I am. And wherever I am, they should be glad I'm there. Glad I'm in the room.
right. That's right.
Yeah. And that's the message I try to tell younger people when they're coming up this chain, right? Know who you are, know whose you are, and stand on what you know. If you've done the work, if you got your degree, you earned that because it's earned, it's not given. Be confident in who you are and what you know. So,
Awesome.
yeah, you'll meet that same person, right, from time to time throughout your life, and you've got to know how to respond or not respond, right?
That's right. Anyone else want to chime in?
I just want to add.
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Okay, Lisa, and then we'll go to Ty.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna add that sometimes, especially when I do like pitches, I do get a lot of like confused faces when I say like, "Oh, I'm a chemist," and instead of their response being "Congratulations" or "Oh, that's great," it's more so like, "Really?" Like almost in like disbelief. And sometimes, like at least when I was younger, it kind of bothered me, like, and kind of fed into like my imposter syndrome because I'm like, "Am I supposed to be here? Do I really know what I'm talking about?" So, other people's like their energy and spirit can affect that, but at the end of the day you have to know, like Lori just said, you worked hard for this. I worked hard for my degree, I studied, and I earned it, so I'm here, and I also have a business too to prove that. So it's just really, it definitely comes with like believing in yourself over the years as time goes by, because even sometimes I need to go back to the book and I'm like, okay, what is okay, just making sure. But it's definitely, those challenges have come and I still face them, but I continue to plan to continue to fight them. So
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I, from my experience, like what I went through and what I noticed is how the team members or how management valued my skills and my time, either by what they assigned to me or what they did not assign to me. For instance, in engineering teams, we have support roles. Those that are there to support us get the job done. Sometimes they would ask me to perform some of those things that the support role, who we already have hired to do. Sometimes they would ask me, to order supplies, and and so, that I've had that experience. I've had, experience where they, like, for example, I had one time, I was working for a department that had a couple projects going on, at least 2 projects, and we were assigned to one project. So it was, let's say each team, no one was really on the same project, on 2 separate projects. So we were all focused on one project. And sometimes there would be an emergency where there would be some data that was needed, or, some work that needed to be done over the weekend, and someone on that team or on that project would do it. Well, I noticed that usually when there was that kind of work to be done, like someone would, needed to be work on the weekend or Friday, I'd be the first person to ask. They'd ask, even if it's on a project that I'm not even working on, that I have nothing to do with, and so I would, do it a lot of times and not complain, wanted to be a team player, but I would come back Monday and report and not even get a thank you. So, so a lot of times, I would, I had those experiences where, I kind of saw how they viewed my role as a part of that team. And it took me a while to see it, but it wasn't where they saw me as an equal. And I've also witnessed how they treated other women, other managers, how some of the subordinates would openly be disrespectful to their managers in a team meeting, who were women. So those were like, some of the things that I witnessed. Luckily, in some cases, I was able to talk to my manager about, hey, I'm not going to do this, and at the time I had a wonderful manager who was a woman who I love. And, I wish she was my manager now. She had a very different management style. She protected me. She did go to other people and said, no, this is not what she's going to do, and, I did appreciate, her. So that was, I have lots of examples, but I'll just leave it at that. But that was like some of my challenges. Like, they didn't see that I was as competent. I was an equal, that I, that I'm supposed to do the same thing that they're doing, or they would ask me to do some things that I'm not supposed to do, or they didn't even want to do themselves. That really wasn't, something I should have been doing. So.
Yeah. I'm thinking back, oh boy, it's like so many things rolling through my head, because I've been in that, technical industry ever since the day I graduated from state. But I'm just thinking of this one time, like you're saying, having that support manager happen to be a female, right? That really kind of woke me up on some things, because I recall a time I was in a meeting and I knew that everyone in the room was a higher level than me, and they were just talking around the room and they weren't making any sense. They didn't know what they were talking about because they hadn't had that broadband experience. So I was sitting there and I was just like, that's so wrong. Nope, that ain't even how it goes. In my head, all this stuff. And we left out of the meeting and my boss looked at me. She said, why didn't you say anything? I said, what? She was like, you looked like, you were just sitting there. And I said, yeah, I said, they were all wrong. And she said, you should have said something. I said, so tell like these higher ups that they don't know what they're talking about. She was like, yeah. And it stuck with me that if you are in a meeting and you're not contributing anything, you probably shouldn't be in that meeting. if you're not getting anything of value or you're not contributing anything, you probably can spend your time doing something else. And that always stuck with me. And I always monitor meetings that I go to now and say, am I going to be value add, or is this going to be a waste of my time? Because at this point, there's so much to do and everybody has a role. Sometimes people just invite people just to have them, as a warm body in the room. I'm like, no, my time is worth more than that. And, and so for me, being kind of like that imposter syndrome, like, should I even say something? Should I be here? What would they say if I say something and correct them? Because I've had that point, even with peers correcting them, the whole room get quiet. You'll say something, whole room gets quiet. You're like, we should probably put this on top of that or something like that. And they'll be like, what? And then somebody else over here will say, why don't we put this under that and put this above? You'll be like, yes, that is so brilliant. You'll be like, that's what I just said.
That's what I just said.
Oh,
oh my gosh.
God. You sit there, you're like, so why am I here if you just like, I don't even get it, but I've gotten past that. But that was like earlier in my career. But we gotta let, these young scientists and engineers and stuff know you have a seat at the table. Go use that space. Don't be afraid. I used to be afraid because nobody told me not to be afraid, right? So I just sat there kind of like, I know a lot, but I don't want to tell them how much I know. But then you look like you don't know nothing if you don't say something. So right. At the same token, you got to show your relevance. So, it's so much, right? I mean, we could do this for a week. I know we could have this whole conversation for a week.
Right. And I would like to add to that, like the importance of having a mentor. The woman that I spoke of was my first and only woman manager I've had my entire career. So my entire 24 years of, being in engineering in one form or another, I've only had her for a short time. And I tell you, it changed everything. She was very encouraging to me. She was very inspiring to me. She did those things just like you said, Michelle. She pushed me. She said, go say hi to her. You don't have to spell out your whole life story. But, she pushed me to do things that I didn't know to do myself. And I didn't even ask her. She saw me as an opportunity because there's only a couple of us usually in a department. She saw me as an opportunity. She knew what I was going through. I mean, she's a bad woman. I love her, by the way. And she has an amazing story. And she helped me. And so I think that like this is one of the reasons why it's so important, not only, to have women in STEM at the individual contributor level, but also in leadership, so that we have a responsibility to mentor and inspire those women who are younger and who are earlier in their STEM career. Because just like me, I didn't know anything. I came in here, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know the culture. I didn't know what how to even conduct myself. I just knew how to work because that's what my parents taught me how to do. But like you said, Michelle, there's more to it than just working, networking, team playing, team building. There's a lot of other components besides just working and grinding that would develop and launch your career. And I didn't have any of that. So I really appreciated her. And it's just one of the things that I feel is really important, to have in the STEM career. So,
and I would add to that, Tyneese, that's exactly right. Because I would say that would probably be the biggest challenge is just finding your advisors, your board of, personal advisory board, your mentors, your supporters. And because we're often in an isolated scenario in that there aren't a lot of people that look like us, there aren't a lot of people in the same gender even, we often have to go outside of what we would normally think. And you have to be able to step outside your comfort zone to have a conversation, to see if there's some common ground that you may not even think of. Because once you find that individual to support you, where it's a safe space, that allows you to help assess what's normal and what's not normal either, to just have your own reference sheet, if you will. Because with that data, you can also start to make decisions around, is this the right place for me? for how long. So knowing when to fold them, because sometimes, I mean, we come from parents that you go to a job, you work a job, you stay at that job, and you don't put your head up, you don't ask questions, you just follow it out to retirement, right? But that's not, I don't think, what's best for us at all times. And we have to be able to have some data to assess that, and learn from that and kind of move forward and make some different decisions sometimes.
Excellent point.
Absolutely. And one other thing, adding to the mentors and having your advisory board, what I learned in order for me to get to the executive level that I got to, I actually had sponsors. And they weren't necessarily mentors at all. They weren't those people that
different things.
Yeah, you know, you could go to the mentor to get that advice or, oh my God, you know, how do I navigate through this or what? And the sponsor is like, I'm going to grab you from down here, pull you up purposely, expose you to people that you normally would not get exposed to. I mean, it was deliberate.
And I'm going to speak your name in rooms that you're not in.
That's it. And that was the only way. And I didn't even know, like, they had this executive leadership program at one company I worked at, and they handpicked people to be in it. And you couldn't tell anybody that you were in it. And they picked me, and it was like you had to go through this rigorous, I mean, it was like going to college. You had projects, you had teams that you work with and everything. And I was like, this is what it does, you know, it takes. I thought you just, you know, I mean, honestly, like, do a good job, get good performance ratings. They're going to keep moving me up. I mean, you hear people talking about that ceiling, and it happens. I mean, it does. And how do you get a sponsor? I don't even know sometimes. I mean, sometimes it's by somebody takes a shine to you because they see you moving and shaking, and it does something for them to say, she's executive material. Or they may say, you know, some people go deliberate. Some people like grind it out. Like, I need a sponsor. Will you sponsor me? I want to do. So you got to be deliberate about it. Sometimes I wasn't so deliberate. I did want to do it, but I had somebody that actually plucked me in deliberately. He didn't look like me either, just so you know. But he was highly respected in the corporation. So what he said went. I don't care. He said, Michelle, okay, well, then that's the one we're going to groom and bring up. And it just so happened to work that way. So when you see like one or two of us up at the top, it's not because you did a good job or you didn't do a good job why you didn't get there. It's a deliberate appointment to a position. And once you get in it, you see a whole new world like, whoa, this is how it works over here. Oh, so it's not about just coming in doing a good job. It's all different. So it's just something that everybody don't know that. And I'm just bringing that up to whomever's watching, because I thought I was like you said, Tynese, work hard, you know, do your job. And I was that person, and that was never going to get me to an executive level. And as much as I tried, how many hours I work, how many weekends I would work, it did not matter. It didn't matter. So remember that sponsorship is, at least in corporate. Now, some of the entrepreneurs on here, you guys just broke out, and you had a whole nother stratosphere that, you know, we didn't know nothing about when I was coming up in the, you know, 80s and early 90s when we graduated. It's like, you graduate, you go get a job. You know, now y'all like, look, I graduated, I want my own. I mean, I love when I hear the next generation saying, I want my own, because I'm like, well, go do that. Go do that. And what can I do to help you do that? Because I think even in that space, you're going to need some help from somebody, you know, somebody that's advocating for you, somebody that's advertising for you, somebody's putting you in the right rooms. So your service or your product can be pushed and respected. You know what I mean? It's all the same game, but in a different environment. And at the end of the day, let me just put this out here. We're going to jump to the next question. You can't do it by yourself. I don't care what you say. You could be the smartest person in the room, the smartest person in the state, country. You can't do it alone. President Obama could not become president by himself. You always need a team of people that are got your back, who putting you in the right rooms, who rubbing elbows with the right person and all of that. So don't think, even as an entrepreneur, guys and gals, that you just do it by yourself. And I'm sure Alyssa knows this already. Like, it wasn't her. It's her brand, it's her product, it's her mind and vision, but she probably got a lot of support to go with that. And we'll hear a little bit more about that when we get to her portion. But real quick, I want to switch gears and talk about health, because at the end of the day, that still becomes that overarching important piece of STEM that, everybody thinks engineering, math and stuff like. There's a health component to that, and Dion has been in that space. And so, as an executive in health equity, tell us how, what you learned, your technical background at both Michigan State and Northwestern has helped you ensure that everyone gets fair opportunity to attain their highest level of healthcare. What are you doing? How do you do that? And just tell us what that's all about. That's important.
I love the fact that my engineering and MBA prepared me to be a CPSO, and I am the Chief Problem Solving Officer. And so I would say that is what our technical backgrounds prepare us to do across sectors, across businesses, and in this case, around health. And so, I started to, when I went into engineering, at first I went to Mobil Oil. I worked in a refinery. I did not work in a very women-friendly industry. I worked in a very tough environment. I was working on pipes and sizing pipes. And I was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. They were hazing me, saying, go find nitrogen blankets. Well, nitrogen's a gas, so there is no blanket, right? Oh my God. So I said, I want to work on people problems. So that's how I kind of started to think through, what else can I do in this space? And so I asked the question, can I go into a different area? And they told me no at Mobil Oil. So I said, what else can I do? And I went back to get my MBA, but I wanted to focus in an area that had a lot of variables. And so the technical problem solving, the equations, healthcare is a big old equation with a lot of different variables. When you think about payers, and you think about hospital systems, and you think about doctors and nurses. And at the end of the day, the most important outcome is around that patient. And so that patient is that result. So all these variables, and being able to approach problems very strategically, very with a logical approach, and to kind of peel back the layers and get to those variables and help people make decisions around which variable is really going to help drive a better result, all comes from that base engineering training. And so I really challenge us to think about, how can I apply this method, this brain, this just very smart, logical approach that I've been learning, differential equations, all those things. How do I take that and say, what are the variables within a different industry, a different sector, healthcare as a sector, and how can we leverage that in our training into a sector to really help drive better results? And so I've been able to transfer those skills and go into environments where we're looking at colon cancer. You talk about Exact Sciences and saying, okay, Black people have worse outcomes. People are dying at a young age of a preventable disease. What is missing up front that is not happening for us, that we're not getting the information? And what's not working? And how do we go deeper? How do I challenge companies to invest more up front in the awareness? how do I make sure those commercials reflect who they're targeting?
Yeah,
But
I
it's
love
a problem, right? It's a problem.
Yes.
So it really has been a blessing to be able to take these the skill set that we've learned and that we have ingrained in everything we do and apply it to a sector such as health, and cosmetics, and just all these different areas have really opened up doors for people with our backgrounds that we automatically don't even put ourselves in the running, because we think about the walls that go up. Like Shatrice was talking about music and production. There's so many opportunities
Mhm.
with the STEM background. So the sky is the limit, and healthcare has been a space that I've been able to solve those problems around.
Miss Di, you just became my spirit animal. I love you. That is amazing. No, seriously, like I was just over here like, yes, yes, yes. And it's the same, it's the same effort used in learning, right? We want to see more sisters. We want to see more persons of color have the access. We want to give them game, like what you just said, Michelle. That's game, that we didn't have when we were younger. I remember when my husband was going to Michigan State and literally like, I'm changing my major. I'm not going to get an engineering college because chemistry is on tapes and we have to go and listen to it. I remember that. And so now, applying, like you said, applying those skills and creating learning environments that first of all prepare them to get to the next level. And so we talked about challenges, helping people understand in terms of making decisions about education for the masses. That's been our challenge, especially since we've been so successful at serving brown children. I've had major leaders at the top level, like, and I'm the type, generals talk to generals, captains talk to captains. I'm talking to generals. And I had someone say, well, how is coding STEM? Because we wanted to bring a day of code throughout this whole, like a whole region with all of the major people. And it wasn't something we came up with. Facebook's founder came up with it and got everybody else on board, right? We went out and got the dollars. It was like, how does this relate to STEM? We're like, hold on now. Coding? Really? But it becomes STEM in education at the level post-secondary looks different prior to when you get there. And so we have to use the strategies like what I'm doing. Hey, we need a currency and a carrot so that we can still prepare them and give them skills that will help them stretch out and actually take the trails to a whole different level that you've already blazed. To have my Sora over here sitting beautiful as a chemist, that's amazing. And we have students in our program that are like that. That's like, Ms. Gillen, I didn't know we were going to get nominated for a Grammy. I want to be a rocket scientist. I said, well, we'll build rockets tomorrow, but I'm glad I got you here because you like music,
Right.
and we showed you that the behind the scenes people make more money. It's a person that needs to just figure out the technology in the stadium is going to make $3,500 an hour. You see? So thank you, Ms. Dion, for sharing and breaking it down, especially around health. This is a whole nother thing that we're doing to prevent substance abuse. And I have to get into that a whole nother time. But the way that you just broke that down and the way that you brought this panel together, Michelle, is brilliant because it helps us actually see the potential of how to, in education, they call it scaffolding, but how to give people what they need and some game, but also, create other pathways that, when you think of, and that's progress, so I'm proud.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you. And I know you have to run. I know you've got more commitments on your plate, but I do appreciate you, Shatrice, and your time on this panel. And, feel free, like if you need to drop off, to do so.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And for anyone else who needs to drop off, please feel free. If not, we're going to keep on for a couple minutes because we got some more conversation to have here. I'm going to go to Tynese actually. So you're in a really unique and interesting space, and I'm going to talk to you. It's so crazy. I knew you did this, but I hadn't even thought about what I'm thinking in my head and how I can connect with you. So that's going to be a different conversation. But for now, let me ask you this question here. There's so many people out there that have great ideas, you know, and they're just like, I got this new thing I want to do or whatever. How do people, get started with that? How do they get a patent? Like, can you like kind of, summarize? I know it's probably an arduous process, but summarize what it takes to, get a patent. What does that look like?
Well, like you said, it's arduous, but it does require some patience, and look at it as a journey and a learning opportunity. And so that's the first thing, because it is not simple and it's not direct and it's not straightforward, so that's why we have, a lot of attorneys, working with us, negotiating with us and everything. But one of the things, that I would say a good start would be to go to our website. First of all, the United States Patent and Trademark Office has an extensive outreach program. They believe in outreach and educating the community, because innovation encourages more innovation. One patent idea will develop another patent idea. And so, we do have a huge outreach component. And so one of the places to start is at our website, uspto.gov/free services. And then I'm going to give you actually a couple websites. But that particular website has lots of free information for, let's say, an individual, because there's a couple ways you can do it. You can do it within your company, and your company is your asset or is your assignee or is representing you, or you can do it as an individual inventor. We call that a pro se inventor. And usually a lot of times an individual inventor is not familiar. They don't have the support of the company or the company's attorneys to help them navigate the patent prosecution or patent application process. So, on that website, there is a lot of free information that, that has a lot of ways to navigate that patent application process. There's ways that you can identify pro bono help, because a lot of times an attorney is not in the budget for a lot of people. There's call centers. There's a lot of information about discounts for small companies and micro entities. There's also an IP identifier tool, which is a tool that kind of give you a self-assessment of your knowledge of intellectual property. There's a website, it's uspto.gov/innovation for all. That website, you can hear or talk to other successful entrepreneurs or other people who were successful in navigating the application process. So I would say, start there. That will give you a lot of free information. It is, very interesting. There's a process or a way to file your application. This is one of the things that, an attorney would, could be beneficial, because they're very familiar with the law. They're in a good position to negotiate with the examiner, like me. They're in a position to file your application, to prepare your application, because there is a process. So attorney can help you do that, but you don't have to go through an attorney. Or you can, like I said, there is pro bono help there that'll help you navigate the process. So that's the first place I would start. But the very first thing that's going to happen is you preparing your application. That means you writing down your invention in a description. You have the accommodating drawings with it. You write out your claims. Your whole application all of that is part of your application. And what I like to see as an examiner is an application that is clear. I love reading inventions where I can understand your invention. A lot of times I can't really understand what's going on for several reasons. The person did not explain it clearly, or sometimes it's an inventor that is translated from another country and they use a machine translation. The translation doesn't translate quick. So sometimes I can't understand really what's the invention here, or what's the crust of the invention. And so the examiners can't give a patent or issue a patent, number one, if they can't understand it, let alone searching to see if it exists already. So, that is very important. You have to think about it as kind of a bartering process, or a bartering kind of, I guess it's a bartering kind of thing, because for you to get a patent, what you're getting in return, you're getting a patent, which means protection for your invention. Okay. But in return, you are allowing the public to reproduce your invention, to be able to understand and reproduce your invention under certain circumstances. In other words, you can negotiate with the person, you can, sell your rights, or, you can do that. But the public needs to be able to understand your invention. And so that's why it's very clear that your application is very clear about what your invention is and how you produce it. And then also that encourages more innovation. If someone can understand your invention, then that encourages them to come up with another idea, and then they, will file a patent, or you will come up with another idea from your own invention. And so, I mean, that's regardless of whether you do it individually as a pro se inventor, or you go through an attorney, either by a fee or pro bono. Your application and the clarity of your application and the format of your application is very important, because I'm going to see it and I'm going to read it and I'm going to be like, what? Or this is cool. I've seen some really cool inventions, So like I said, there's, I mentioned a couple websites. There's another website, uspto.gov/events. There are a lot of events where you can get some additional training. I would highly encourage joining the USPTO LinkedIn website. There you'll see a lot of activity from our director or the Secretary of Commerce, also describing or announcing events where the public can come and join, and learn about how to apply for a patent, also job opportunities, or just, the intellectual property space. So, that's where I would start.
Awesome. So. That's good to know. I mean, just how long does the process take? I mean, in general, like on average, is it a year, 2 years, months? Or is it vary?
It could be
complexity.
Yeah, it varies depending on the science, depending on, okay. So like, for example, right now I examine battery discharging. So, I'm in the renewable energy space, so I get inventions from solar charging to wireless charging to vehicle charging to safety and charging. And, as you can see that renewable energy, that's kind of a hot thing right now, with battery charging operated vehicles, trying to move away from energy that's not good for the environment into batteries. So we get a lot of people have a lot of ideas and a lot of inventions, and it's really hot. That's kind of like a hot thing right now. So, a lot of times I'll pick up an application that's probably has been filed 2-3 years ago. I think I'm looking at applications that were filed in 2020. So that's like a 2-year backlog,
Yeah.
And, then, reading the application, searching it, telling you either you have a patent or not. And then the negotiation between me and you, or me and your lawyer, that could take another year or two, so that's one thing. But then at the same time, a technology that's not really probably, not kind of hot or not innovative, or is not the hot thing right now. I don't know, for example, maybe photocopiers, you may apply to that and then, maybe hear a response from the examiner within 6 months or so, So, I mean, but, what's important, is, the timing is very important, but, what is key is your filing date. Because, even though you probably wait anywhere from 6 months to a couple of years to hear from me, and then the back and forth between you and me, or me and your attorney may take a few months and everything, once, you do receive your patent is good from the beginning of your filing date. So you may file today, may not get a patent for 5 years from now, but your patent protection started at your filing date. You know what I mean? So that's really good to know, because someone can come later and say, hey, cease and desist, or, you're infringing, and here's my evidence and here's my proof, here's my patent, or you can do the same thing. You can go, pursue infringement, and you can say, hey, this is where my protection starts. Okay, I have evidence, so I mean, in a nutshell.
Yeah,
So
no,
like you
that's,
said,
that's really good. It seems like we could
yeah,
get
so it's important.
a debrief on that
It's
just by
important to
itself.
file.
That's really
Yeah.
interesting. I don't know how much people knew before today, but Tynese is the person, and all those websites you reference, we can put those on the page too, just so people
Yeah.
know like where to go if they have any questions, about patents and what they can do and how to get started. Great. Thank you. All right, so we talked about some of the challenges of being a woman in STEM, but sometimes there's some perks to being a woman in STEM. I'm going to open it up to everyone to chime in on any preferential treatments or any extra advantages you felt like you got by either studying, working, or starting your own business because you had that STEM background. Is there any perks to being in STEM that you think?
Well, there's a lot of perks. There's a lot of perks to being a woman in STEM. You're a commodity. Um, for a lot of organizations, you offer a point of view that oftentimes is not at the table, and so you you have to be careful with that and use it to your advantage. But a different spin on that is what I do today, mentoring women in business, entrepreneurs through Great Lakes. And one thing that I definitely share with them is there are companies who are looking for your product or your service, and they're looking to specifically do business with a woman-owned or woman business enterprise, or a minority business enterprise. And so if you have those certifications, it opens a lot of doors for you. So through the programs that we have at our organization, the first mentoring cohort that we had was women in construction, which is a typically male dominated space. Um, and so there was a cohort of 10 women, business owners, they knew their stuff, and they just they didn't know each other existed, right? So it's coming together, it's finding that camaraderie, that sisterhood, and letting you know that you're not on an island by yourself in this field that is dominated by somebody who does not look like you. And just a point of interest, January is National Mentoring Month. So we talked about mentoring earlier. This particular program that I kind of oversee is so transformative in getting, increasing their confidence, making sure that they're ready to go after those bids and those contracts. But it also gives you a mentor who's also in the space, another woman who is well established, has been in the business, and it may be a legacy business, but she's been there. She's seen the economic upturns and downturns. She can help you navigate these waters, and you're not by yourself. And so there are people who are looking to do business with you. You got to get connected. You got to make sure that people know that you're out there. So I love what I do, and I love the opportunity to connect people to these opportunities and to help them become better leaders of their own organizations, as women in STEM or any industry. We work across the board with women entrepreneurs in every industry, pretty much. So there's always an advantage to being a woman with the technical background, who's leading the way.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to ask one of the entrepreneurs on our panel, and that is Alyssa. She has For Her Cosmetics, which is a for-profit company. But as I mentioned earlier in the bio, she has a non-for-profit organization named MySpace Laboratories. Their goal is to recruit and retain young girls in STEM. So can you please tell us a little bit more about MySpace Laboratories, and how do you get in it, and kind of what are they doing, and kind of what is the whole operations?
Yes, of course. So MySpace Laboratories is the sister company of my for-profit company, For Her Cosmetics. And essentially, as I mentioned before, with my background in STEM and science, I've used that to create programs where kids get to learn how to make the products we sell, and then to common household cosmetics. So tomorrow, for instance, I'm actually gonna, or Saturday. So in 2 days, I'm going to be working with the Girl Scouts in Detroit. We made body butter before Christmas, but we're going to be making shampoo and conditioner. And so essentially, we get to talk to them about different science focuses while also speaking about the beauty focus. So, for instance, we're going to be talking about surfactants and how they help remove dirt and things like that in that nature, as well as, okay, you need to moisturize your hair and have something that works for your type of follicle. So it has both sides basically. So we have 12 experiments under MySpace Laboratories that are set to Michigan academic standards, with both, like I mentioned before, science and beauty focus, and they get to become the scientists for the day. So MySpace Laboratories essentially is my last name put into a lab space that creates a safe space for students to explore
Yeah.
science.
That is awesome. I wish they had that when I was in Girl Scouts. I was in Girl Scouts in Detroit. We didn't have anything as cool as this, but wow. So they get to make shampoo and conditioner.
Yes, we
Oh
have
boy.
rose toner, lip gloss, lipstick. Like I actually show them the process, the raw materials. They get the gloves, the beakers, the measuring spoons, so that they can actually complete an entire project together with me.
Oh, that is sweet. Thank you for sharing MySpace
Absolutely.
Laboratories, everyone.
No problem.
So I know you kind of doing it with the Girl Scouts, but if like people that are listening, they have a young daughter or niece or something, and they said they wanted them to get that experience or exposure, is there a way to like sign up for, to have a tour or even be able to participate? Is there like a structured program that you can join, or anything like that?
Yes, so I actually do one-on-one classes. I typically do like nonprofit and public schools that I partner with, but I have had like one-on-one classes with students here in my lab where I am now, or virtually. I've done programs with like University of Maryland all the way down to small STEM Girls R Us in Florida. So
Okay.
it really just depends on what needs you have. I've had people request for birthday parties too because they want their girls to like come in and make their
Yeah.
lipstick, their signature lipstick. But our website is myspacelaboratories.org, and you can actually inquire on classes through our contact us page. So literally right under there, you'll see more information about that.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. So we're gonna move to Lori. Lori, so you kind of talked about Great Lakes Women's Business Council. Um, and you kind of talked about what you're doing. Is there anything you wanted to add to that? How do women get even signed
Um,
up for it?
yeah, so just a little bit about Great Lakes. It's a nonprofit. We champion women and minority businesses, and we provide access to capital. We've got our seed lending arm with a phenomenal loan team. Um, we provide certification for women-owned businesses. We try to connect you with corporate contracting opportunities, and we provide small business educational support. And one of the ways is actually through one of our flagship programs is the Mentor We program, but we also have conferences, annual conferences, and symposiums. And we're part of the larger organization. If you're not familiar with WeBank, which is the Women Business Enterprise National Corporation, so we have been um, helping women succeed, I guess, for about 38 years now.
Mm,
Um, Anybody who wants to learn more about it, it's greatlakeswbc.org. And we service Michigan and Indiana. So we've got an office in Indianapolis and a small team there. But we've been doing this for a while. It is I'll say it's really rewarding to
I
be
was gonna
able
say,
to It is, because you're building small businesses, which is the backbone of communities. If you want a strong community, you've got to make sure the businesses in your neighborhood are thriving. So, and we love to see women succeed. That's the focus. And we have been instrumental in serving thousands of women and getting thousands of certifications bestowed upon these ladies. So it's I'm happy to talk to anybody offline, answer any more questions, specifics about what you want to do for your business, where you see yourself, and we can go from there. But yeah, so we've been making a way, we've been making a difference, and that's what I love the most. So, and I have some for her cosmetics in my makeup. I have some lipsticks.
I do too.
I got you.
It's wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
and I've seen you at some trade shows too. So
yeah, I think I saw you at Homecoming some years back. You had a booth. And I think I got, at that time, I think it was like a purple lipstick or something. I can't remember. It was some years back, but I'm telling you, good product.
Yeah.
Good product.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that because she's on my show, but I actually use the product.
No, I can vouch. Yeah, I got you.
Yes.
I'm going to order some. I don't have any, so I'm looking at this as an opportunity to get some. So.
I have lots of lipsticks, and I'd love to order some from you.
Yeah, you gotta get some.
Yes, check us out.
So Alyssa's, she's the person that I'm looking for and might be looking for us to help you scale your business.
Yeah, that's right. She's on the map now. All of Smack Nation knows about her. The good news is that, we have a set people that try to get in live, but there's so many people that just, busy, whatever, but they always come back. They watch the replays and stuff. So, and I'm telling you, I got people that have been on the show who's their services, their products and things have just been going like gangbusters. And just because it's a trusted environment too. Yes. They get a chance to hear from the owner, the service provider or what have you, and they get a good feel like, I want to get that product, or I want to buy that book, or whatever the case may be. So blessings to your business for that. And I like I said, I love it. And I love makeup, as people I think know. Even like when you're working from home and stuff, it's like you don't get to dress up, glam up or whatever as much, but when you do get to go out, it's always nice to have a good lipstick, a good shimmer or whatever you want, to have that effect. So yeah, we can talk all day about makeup. That'd be a whole nother show, but
I think putting it on even when I'm working from home. Like I would not leave the house, but I would put on makeup in the morning. I do. Cause I don't know.
I didn't. Hey, wait a minute, but you're out there on the beach and running and doing all kinds of cute stuff. I see you. So yeah, you got reasons to look good.
Where do you live, Chinese?
In Miami.
Oh, nice.
We're all jealous. As I look at inches of snow outside.
I know. It's so I moved real quickly. I moved last year, so it's like my first year not really having to deal with snow and everything, and I'm totally disconnected. Like it's almost like, my family in Chicago and my friends in Detroit. Like I forget what they're going through, and they have to send me pictures. You really do get. Sorry, what was that?
I said, let us remind you.
Yes.
I try to be sensitive. But hey. So.
Yeah. I think the only question that came in through the chat was to you, Chinese. It was a question about, do you still keep in touch with that one? I think it's the one boss that you had, the female manager. Do you still keep in touch with her?
I used to. I actually thought about her a couple days ago, and I saw that she responded to someone on LinkedIn, And so I was like, okay, she's doing well, because when she was my manager, I was much younger, and I think she was, almost, I want to say in her 60s, and so I kind of lost touch. And so I was kind of wondering if she was doing okay. And I noticed, like I said a couple of days ago, that she responded. So that, lets me know that, at least, she's still with us. And so I was gonna like reach out to her. She is a phenomenal woman. Long story short, she started going to a community college to be a secretary. She has 6 boys. And she started to go to community college to be a secretary because her husband at the time told her, if something was to happen to me, how are you going to take care of our children? And so she started doing it she just thought she was going to be a secretary, found out that she had an interest in math, and went all the way and got her master's in engineering. And,
Wow.
Ended up doing research for a lot of companies. And then when I first met her, she was, an engineering manager. She wrote a book called Keep Dancing that I purchased. And it's very interesting. Like, it's amazing how she went, like, first of all, 6 boys. You went,
Right.
so,
I'm like,
Yeah.
cool. And she worked with us, Michelle, and you may have heard her and everything. And I mean, she was like, her story was so fascinating that, women of all levels within the company was just like, oh, Susan, we love you, because she was so inspiring. And it was just a pleasure, for her to like, and I mean, she really, went through some challenges that I noticed. Like I said, I mentioned that, I noticed like some of the women I worked with was openly disrespected. She was one of them, and she kept her cool, I mean, it was one guy at a meeting, at her project meeting she was having, and he was working for her, got mad about something that, she was asking him about his part in the project, and he got mad, and there was an empty can in the middle of the table, and he got mad and then hit the can with his hand, and it tossed it across the room, and it hit the wall, and he walked out, and I was looking at her like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? And she laughed, and she took her call, and it was like, he sweared at her. And I mean, she was such a phenomenal. And then she stood up for us, it was other, I was at the time, the only woman on the team, all the other team members, male team members, they were sad that she left. They said that she fought for us. She stood up for us. They were trying to give us more and more work. And she was like, no, my team has too much, so she was really, her management style was excellent. And she, as you can see, I really, that was a long time ago. And I'm still like, why did you leave me? I'm having separation anxiety. So yeah, I've been meaning to reach out to see how she's doing and to let her know.
You should.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So we're at the end of the show. So I'm going to give each person 30 seconds. If you have anything, parting words that you'd like to give women who have listened, women in STEM who are struggling, who may now have been inspired, or you want to leave a word of inspiration, even men who have listened in, who may have gotten a new perspective of some of the things that we've overcome being women in STEM. But 30 seconds for each person, a kind of parting word of what you want to say.
I'll go first. I would just say one of the advantages of having a background in STEM is that people already know you're smart.
Mm-hmm.
So remember that you are smart, and people know that. Whether they respect it or not is another issue, but know that you've earned your spot to be at the table. So just fall in and go into that chief problem solving officer mode and just live there and just claim your space and keep soaring.
Awesome.
I just want to add that too, for those that are going into entrepreneurship with STEM, always look for a mentor, someone to have in your corner, as mentioned earlier, to support you, because it does get hard. And although you will need other people to help you, a lot of times you're in it by yourself. So make sure that you do have that support system so that you can have people to fall back on and can continue to encourage you, because entrepreneurship is a long, windy journey, but it's totally worth it.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'll add on to that. I was going to say, you know, I'm a champion for mentors, and find one, be one. You know, everybody has something to offer someone else in the game, coming behind you or standing beside you. So a lot of our mentees have been able to collaborate peer to peer, but also mentee to mentor. And so there have been opportunities that have opened up just from those relationships. So build those relationships, find the mentor, and be the mentor.
Awesome. Tiny.
I would piggyback on Lori. Find a mentor, because there will be, or hopefully there won't, but for me at least, there was a lot of times where I doubted, you know, if I belonged here, if I was smart enough, if I could do this. And it's very important that you go to someone, you know, or encourage yourself. The Bible says, like, encourage thyself. You know and believe that you do belong here. You are just as smart as everyone here at the table. You have the ability, the capacity to do anything and everything that they can do. And again, it's great to have a support system. Again, mentoring your family, your friends, to be that other voice that's telling you, no, you do belong here, because the voices will tell you you're not. And so you need something, whatever that is, your church family, you know, to encourage you to combat and fight those voices saying that you are not smart enough, you are not good enough, you don't belong here, and you can't do this. That's
right. Really. Thank you. Well, it has been truly a pleasure. And I know we are past the hour here, but it usually is that way when you're talking about a good subject with good people. And I just want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time, for being a volunteer to sit here on this panel and to share your journey and to inspire even other women who may be interested in STEM or currently in STEM and trying to figure out and navigate their way through this, I would say, unique journey. Special thanks to Shatrice, who had to leave early, Dion, Tynese, Elisa, and Lori. Thank you so very, very much. I know we had a lot of Michigan State heavy on here, but I'm gonna tell you, I got a lot of technical friends. I mean, we could do this like all year just with a whole, because surprisingly, I said a small percentage of us are in STEM, but a lot of them happen to be personal friends within my network, just because of, hey, they smart and they cool at the same time, and I love them. So I keep them around, and we keep feeding and loving on each other. So with that, we're going to close. For those who may have come partway through or toward the end, you can always catch this on Facebook and YouTube on the replays, and we'll be back next month with another topic, with another set of people. And again, SMAC Nation out there, thank you so much for sticking with us to the end. I still see we have quite a few people still on the live here. So just thank you so much for your time and sharing in our journey here as we talk about women in STEM. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Michelle. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Michelle.